How's it going, everybody? C-RadTV back here with another video. So, of course, another week NFL football pause. This means it's now time for the NFL Week 17 picks. We're at the final 2 weeks of the NFL regular season before it's playoff time. So, the last 2 weeks where we're really starting to get a good idea what the playoff picture could be entering the playoffs for this season and who will be most likely ending the season early at the start of January. So, of course, last week with my picks, I went 12-4 with my picks last week. So, my record for this year goes to 167-72. And, of course, last week we had two teams punch their tickets to the playoffs, and those being the Baltimore Ravens and the Green Bay Packers, which means now we have 9 spots officially decided for the playoff picture, and now 5 spots remain within the last 2 weeks of the season. 3 in the NFC, 2 in the AFC. A lot to still be decided in the last 2 weeks of the year. And, of course, we eliminated 4 teams from the playoffs last week. And those 4 being the New Orleans Saints, the Dallas Cowboys, our reigning NFC champions, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Arizona Cardinals, which means now we're at 13 teams eliminated now, and 5 imposters still remain at large entering the last 2 weeks. So we got 10 teams competing for the last 5 spots in the playoffs. Only 5 more will make it in, and 5 more will be sent packing. But we'll get a good idea what that picture could look like entering the last week of the season. So who will be in this week, who will be out, and who will have their fates decided in the last week of the season. Let's take a look. So starting off, we have our Wednesday slate of games, which is why this picks video is out a lot earlier than normal because, oh yeah, NFL is doing games on Christmas now to compete with the NBA in the ratings, to stick it to the NBA. So yeah, we got 2 Christmas games on Wednesday. The first one we're going to go over here, and oh, by the way, both games are on Netflix, by the way. So just thought I'd put that out there. First time ever NFL games will be available only on Netflix. But our first game, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh Steelers playing in Pittsburgh. Kansas City, they can clinch the 1 seed in the AFC with a win or a Buffalo loss. If anyone's wondering about Pittsburgh and the AFC North, no, the Steelers nor the Ravens can clinch the North this week. The AFC North is guaranteed no matter what to go down to Week 18. But for this one, I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one. I think the Steelers are just pretty average against good teams. And Pittsburgh's kind of looking like a one and done in the playoffs. So I'm going to say Kansas City out on the road in this one. Give me the Chiefs by 4 in this one. And I think the Chiefs will clinch the 1 seed. And I think the road to Super Bowl 59 will go through Kansas City this year on the AFC side. Now to our other Christmas game. We have the Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans playing in Houston. Game that doesn't really mean a whole lot for the playoff picture. I mean, Baltimore, their fate for the AFC North comes down to next week. They're clinched in. Houston is effectively guaranteed the 4th seed. They could move up to the 3rd seed with a win and possibly get up there. But I don't think Houston's going to do it because in the Ravens-Texans rivalry, Baltimore has had a stranglehold over Houston in that series. And every game that Baltimore had won, a majority of them have usually not been close. They've usually been blowouts. And I could see this one being a blowout since I think Baltimore's starting to get hot at the right time near the end of the regular season. Can they keep that momentum in the playoffs is to be determined. But for this one, I'm going to take Baltimore on the road in this one. Give me Baltimore by 10 over Houston in this one. See, I got the Ravens by 10 in this one. I don't think it's going to be a close game. Give me Baltimore by 10 in this one. Next game, see it to our Thursday night game. Seattle Seahawks, Chicago Bears playing in Chicago. Seattle must win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive, as Seattle is eliminated with a loss and a Rams win. So Seattle needs to win this game to keep any hopes at the playoffs alive for the NFC West. If Seattle loses, then the Rams are in the driver's seat to clinch the NFC West. If the Rams win, if the Seahawks win, then the NFC West will go down to Week 18. And quick note, the Seahawks and Rams play each other next week. And that's one of the rumored front-runners for the Week 18 Sunday night game. Believe the front-runner for that Week 18, it's either going to, the rumored Week 18 game, it's either going to be Seattle, LA, or Detroit, Minnesota. It's going to depend on results. Because right now, every game next week is currently to be TBD. So they're going to wait on a couple of results from other games to decide that. But for this one, yeah, I got Seattle winning on the road. Chicago has just been completely lost. I'm going to take the Seahawks on the road. Give me Seattle by 1 over Chicago in this one. And I think Seattle will force the NFC West to go down to Week 18. Now we get into the Saturday slate of games. The first one we're going to go over here. We have the Los Angeles Chargers, New England Patriots playing in New England. Also, the Chargers, they can clinch a playoff spot with a win. They can also clinch if Indianapolis and Miami both lose this week. And, of course, New England, they got really nothing to play for. They're playing for a top draft pick. While the Chargers can go clinch a spot in the playoffs. I think the Chargers will get a spot in the playoffs. I got the Chargers winning this game on the road. Give me the Chargers by 4 in this one over the Patriots. Give me LA by 4. And I think the Chargers will punch their ticket back to the playoffs this week. Now to our next Saturday game with massive playoff implications. Denver Broncos, Cincinnati Bengals playing in Cincinnati. Denver clinches a playoff spot with a win. Cincinnati must win this game to stay alive, to force their playoff fate to be decided in Week 18. Because Cincinnati's eliminated with a loss. So must win for Cincinnati. Denver can clinch with a win. And also if Denver loses, then the AFC wildcard race goes down to Week 18. And I think the AFC wildcard race will go down to Week 18. I have Cincinnati winning this game at home over the Broncos. I have Cincinnati pulling it off at home to keep their playoff hopes alive. Give me Cincinnati by 3 in this one over Denver. And I think Cincinnati will force the AFC wildcard picture to go all the way down to Week 18. Now we get to the injury battle in the injury division between the Arizona Cardinals and the Los Angeles Rams playing in Los Angeles. The Rams, they can clinch the NFC West, a.k.a. the injury division, with a win and a Seattle loss. Well, I have Seattle winning Thursday night, which if that happens, then this game is pretty meaningless. But I have the Rams winning this game. The Cardinals really got nothing to play for. I got the Rams winning this game, but I think the NFC West is going to come down to that game between Seattle and LA next week, where the winner goes to the playoffs and the loser goes home. And also, I should mention one thing for the Cardinals. If anyone's wondering what the problem is with the Cardinals, I think it's Kyler Murray. Consider this. Since the Cardinals had drafted Kyler Murray first overall in 2019, the Cardinals have missed the playoffs 5 times in 6 years with Kyler Murray. So, yeah, and the one time the Cardinals did make the playoffs with Kyler Murray, they got completely smoked in the divisional round by the Rams. So yeah, I'll just say this, bottom line, Cardinal fans, you're not winning anything with Kyler Murray under center. The problem is you're stuck with him because of his albatross of a contract. But yeah, I got the Rams winning this one, and I have the NFC West going down to Week 18. Now we get into the Sunday slate of games. First game, Indianapolis Colts, New York Giants playing in New York. The Colts must win this game to stay alive in the playoff race. They can also be eliminated if the Chargers and the Broncos both win Saturday. But yeah, I got the Colts winning this game. Because the Giants, they're completely dog shit, and the Giants, they're playing for a draft pick. So I have the Colts winning this game, and I think by 2. Give me Indianapolis by 2, and I think Indianapolis will have their playoff fate decided in Week 18 next week. Now to our next game, a game that really doesn't mean a whole lot. New York Jets, Buffalo Bills playing in Buffalo. Buffalo is effectively guaranteed the 2 seed. I believe they're guaranteed the 2 seed if they win this game. The Jets, they're contending in the tank bowl for a pick because the Jets have been completely bad all year. Yeah, I'm going to take the Bills in this one. Give me Buffalo by 1 over the Jets. The Jets will play them tough, but I think the Bills will win this one by 1. And for our next battle, it's between 2 eliminated teams in the AFC South. And since it's 2 eliminated teams, you can say it with me, automatic tank bowl. So this tank bowl matchup sees the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars playing in Jacksonville. Of course, the game these two teams played against each other earlier this season, it was an absolute embarrassment to call that a fucking game. Because it was not a fucking game. It was fucking horrible to watch. And I think this game will be no exception. Because it's Will Levis versus Mac Jones. This is going to be a horrible fucking game. Honestly, who really gives a fuck about this game? It's fucking garbage. It's going to be awful. But I'm going to take the Jaguars in this one on the road, at home in this one. I got Jacksonville. Give me Jacksonville by 3 over Tennessee. Like, I don't really give a fuck who wins this game. It's going to be dog shit. But yeah, give me Jacksonville by 3 in this one. And for our next game, we have another battle between two eliminated teams. So now it's time to get ready for another automatic tank bowl. So this Tank Bowl matchup will see the Las Vegas Raiders and the New Orleans Saints playing in New Orleans. The Saints are just completely fucking useless without Derek Carr. Like, they're middle of the road with Derek Carr, but they haven't won a game with Spencer Rattler or whoever the fuck else they bring out from the dead to be QB. While the Raiders just merely exist. The Raiders are just there. Like, this game's gonna be fucking awful in this game. But I have a feeling the Raiders are gonna win this game on the road. I got the Raiders by 3. Mainly because of how Antonio Pierce carried himself in his post-game press conference when the Raiders beat the Jaguars last week. Because a lot of reporters asked him about the ramifications of the win in terms of the first overall pick. And Antonio Pierce just simply said, talk to the GM Tom Telesco about that. So yeah, with the way he carried himself in that press conference, that's code for one thing. That's code that Antonio Pierce is getting fired at the end of the season by the Raiders. And since he's getting fired, why the fuck should Antonio Pierce give a fuck about the Raiders draft pick situation? And I think Antonio Pierce is going to intentionally stick it to the Raiders and give Mark Davis and Tom Telesco the middle finger out the door. And I think Antonio Pierce is going to cost the Raiders a shot at the first overall pick and sabotage their draft pick. So I have the Raiders winning this game on the road. And because I think Pierce is getting fired and Pierce is sticking the finger to the Raiders organization. So give me the Raiders on the road in this one. Give me Las Vegas by 3 in this game over New Orleans. It's going to be fucking awful. Like all tank bowls, they're going to be awful. Anyway, continuing on. Next game, Carolina Panthers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay must win this game to keep their shot at winning the NFC South alive. Because Tampa Bay can be eliminated with a loss and an Atlanta win. They could also be eliminated if Washington wins as well, if Atlanta and Washington both win. Because there is still an outside shot at Tampa Bay to make the playoffs on a wild card spot. But they would need a lot of help for that to happen. But bottom line for this game, Carolina, I think they're going to play Tampa Bay tough, but I think Tampa Bay wins this game. I got the Bucs winning this game by 2. Give me Tampa Bay by 2. And I think Tampa Bay's playoff hope will come down to Week 18. And I think they'll force the NFC South to go all the way down to Week 18. All right, now to our next game. Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles playing in Philadelphia. Philadelphia can clinch the NFC East this week with a win or a Washington loss. And the Cowboys are already eliminated 2 weeks early. So, yeah, honestly, Philadelphia should win this game handily, no problem. I think Jalen Hurts clears concussion protocol. I think he'll play. And I think the Eagles get it done at home against Dallas. And I think for the first time since 2011, I think the Eagles will sweep the Dallas Cowboys season series. So give me Philadelphia by 2. And I have Philadelphia clinching the NFC East. Plus, Philadelphia needs to win this game to keep any small chance of their hopes for the 1 seed in the NFC alive. They're very slim, but they still have a chance, and a chance is a chance. But bottom line, give me Philadelphia by 2, and I think they will lock up the NFC East this week. Now to our next game. Miami Dolphins, Cleveland Browns playing in Cleveland. Miami must win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive in the AFC wildcard race. Because Miami, if they win, they can still be eliminated if the Chargers and Broncos both win Saturday. So yeah, a lot of their hope now lies on what happens Saturday. But I think Miami gets the job done on the road in Cleveland. Cleveland has nothing to play for. And Dorian Thompson, Joe Robinson is so fucking horrible at a QB. He might be worse than Deshaun Cosby and whatever the fuck else they've... Like, honestly, I think Jameis Winston is a better option than DTR. Like, the Browns are it's the fucking Browns. It's the same old doo-doo shit-stained Browns. But yeah, I have the Dolphins winning this game. Give me Miami by 1 in a pick'em. And I think Miami will force the AFC wildcard race to go all the way down till Week 18. To Judgment Week next week. Next game, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings playing in Minnesota. Minnesota must win this game to keep any hopes at the NFC North and the 1 seed in the NFC alive. If they lose this game, then it opens the door wide open for Detroit to clinch it early. We'll get to that in a little bit. Well, Green Bay, they're already locked in the playoffs. They're effectively guaranteed the 6th seed. Although there is a possibility if they beat the Vikings, they can clinch, they can move up with potentially the 5th seed. So Green Bay potentially could get a higher seed, which could give them a better playoff matchup when we get to the playoffs. So yeah, in this one, and I think Viking fans are so cocky and are completely underestimating the Packers this week. Because all I've been hearing so far this week from Viking fans, and I think all I'm going to hear the rest of the week is how Minnesota is going to come in Detroit next week and kick Detroit's ass and take the NFC North in the 1 seed away from Detroit. And I think the Viking fans are completely forgetting they still have a game to play this week before they can get to Detroit next week. And I think Minnesota is completely underestimating Green Bay, and I think it's going to cost the Vikings. So with that said, upset of the week, I'm taking the Green Bay Packers on the road to beat the Vikings. If Minnesota wins, then the NFC North and the 1 seed in any NFC comes down to Week 18 next week. But I think Green Bay wins this game on the road. Give me Green Bay by 3 over the Vikings in this one. Because Minnesota hasn't swept the season series against the Packers since 2017. And I think the Packers will make sure that streak continues on. And I think the Packers and Vikings split the season series. I'm taking Green Bay on the road. And Green Bay plays spoiler to whatever hopes Minnesota has left at the North and the 1 seed. Alright, now to our Sunday night game. Atlanta Falcons, Washington Commanders playing in Washington. A lot of playoff implications on the line. As for Atlanta, they clinched the NFC South with a win and a Tampa Bay loss. While Washington, they can clinch the final wild card spot with a win or a loss from Tampa Bay, since Tampa Bay still has an outdoor shot at a wild card spot, but they would need a lot of help in that category. So yeah, I think the pressure in this game, it's going to be Michael Penix Jr.'s first career road game. Now he starts, while Washington's coming off a big win, last second win against the Eagles last week. And I think Washington will punch their ticket back to the playoffs. I have Washington winning this game. Give me Washington by 4 over Atlanta. And I think Washington will punch their ticket to the playoffs and Washington will force Atlanta's fate to be decided in Week 18. So give me Washington by 4 to go back to the playoffs. And finally, we get to the Monday night game. Detroit Lions, San Francisco 49ers playing in San Francisco. Rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. And of course, Detroit, they can clinch the NFC North and the 1 seed in the NFC with a win and a Minnesota loss. So if Minnesota wins Sunday against Green Bay, then this game effectively means nothing except just, seeding and trying to keep pace in the 1 seed race, because San Francisco's already out. Detroit's still playing for the 1 seed in the NFC North. But if Minnesota loses Sunday, then this becomes a hat and t-shirt game for Detroit for the North and the 1 seed. And of course, Detroit, San Fran's had a pretty good history of owning Detroit's number, having Detroit's number the last 30 years. We all know about the NFC title game collapse. But I think Detroit's going to be extremely motivated from that game a year ago. And I think, Detroit, they've conquered a lot of demons this year. And this is the last demon they could possibly conquer in the regular season before the playoffs. And I think they conquered this demon against San Francisco. And I think for the first time since 1975, the Lions will finally beat the 49ers in a game in San Francisco. So I'm taking Detroit by 1 point. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think Niners are a lot better team than some people may think. Like, I don't get fooled by that record. I think the Niners are going to play them pretty tough and close, but I have Detroit winning this game by 1. And that wraps it up for my NFL Week 17 picks. So in terms of the clinch scenarios, I think Detroit will get the help they need. And I think they lock up the North and the 1 seed a week early because I think Viking fans are getting too overconfident. I think they're getting punched in the mouth this week by the Packers. So I think Detroit locks up the North and the 1 seed in the NFC. And I think the road to Super Bowl 59 will go through Detroit. I think the Eagles will lock up the NFC East. I think the NFC West and the NFC South will go down to Week 18. And that will be the other division. There'll be 2 or 3 divisions to go down to the Week 18 because the AFC North is guaranteed to go down to Week 18. So I don't have the Rams clinching. I don't have the Falcons clinching. I have Washington clinching a playoff spot this week. I think the Chiefs lock up the 1 seed in the AFC. I think the Chargers lock up a playoff spot, but I think Denver's playoff fate will come down to Week 18. As I think Denver, Miami, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati will all be contending for that 7th and final playoff spot in the AFC next week. So I think 2 teams will clinch this week, and I think no team will get eliminated this week. I think it all comes down to Week 18, the Judgment Day. But that does it here. So, who will make it in this week? Who will be out? And what will the picture look like entering Week 18 for Judgment Day next week? But anyway, that'll wrap it up here, and that's all I got to say. I'll see you all later. I'm out.